Well, women will have a big say in deciding who wins the U.S. election, and experts predict the female vote is critical for success. Joining us this morning for more on what female voters are looking for in their candidate is Avis Jones-Weaver, editor-in-chief at Max Black Politics, Anita McBride, former chief of staff to First Lady Laura Bush, and Akayla Sellers, a 20-year-old first-time voter. Good to have you all with us this morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Akayla, I'm going to start with you. The youth turnout rate is surging for this year's election. And as a young first-time voter who did vote for Biden, what issues are at the top of minds for young female voters as they head out to vote this morning?
Well, for young female voters like myself, I think we're very passionate about things that are going to affect us in the future. For instance, we care a lot about public health. We care a lot about health care. We care a lot about education. We care a lot about, especially for me, the racial reform, the police reform, and all those issues that have a pattern that affect each other, that affect really what we are facing day to day. So those issues as a whole are the issues that we encompass and that we care about.
Avis, back in 2016, Hillary Clinton spent most of her campaign appealing to female voters. Her rallies were attended mostly by female voters. Her donors were more than 60% female. Yet on Election Day, they did not show up for her. How is Biden resonating with female voters even more than Clinton did?
Well, I think we need to look at the racial dynamics in terms of the female vote. Women of color showed up for Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. Black women especially showed up for Hillary Clinton. White women did not show up for Hillary Clinton. She lost them because 53% of white women gave their vote to Donald Trump. And so with this time around, we do see that as it relates to the Biden campaign, he definitely is appealing to women of all stripes. Black women are showing up strong, I believe, not just for Biden, but because they see a reflection of themselves on the ticket. But one of the things that we are seeing that has shifted in a great way between this election and the last election, according to polling, suburban or highly educated white women this time are trending Democratic. And so if that holds true, this huge block of women voters, which will probably make up the majority of voters writ large, is going to be really the main way that we will see a shift this time to the Democratic side of the aisle.
Anita, when Trump nominated Justice Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court, there was an outcry over the possibility that she would vote to overturn Roe v. Wade. That's a ruling that protects a women's right to abortion in the U.S. Now, Trump also boasted that he was nominating a woman and that this should be a good thing. So is Trump's choice, how is it sitting with female voters?
Well, you know, women in leadership positions are a good thing. And I don't think we can dispute that, of course. But it's no one person, woman or man, is going to be acceptable to everybody. And that is the reality. And the problem is, I think, it's that Donald Trump nominated her. If it had been someone else, even another Republican president, I don't think there would be as much of a backlash. And I do, agree with one of the points of, analysis already made. White suburban women may break in bigger numbers this time for Joe Biden. And part of it is the character issue that they feel they've had enough of with President Trump. But one of the other points that I do want to raise that women do care about, too, that was not mentioned by our young first-time voter. And, it's great to be on this panel with you. But I have two young first-time voters, too. And there's something else they worry about, too. Are they going to have a job when they get out of college? And economic security is an issue women care about for themselves, but also for their families. So it's a holistic approach to this. But I think this election really, in that ballot box, for a lot of people, does come down to character. And we'll see what happens today.
Anita, I want to pick up on that, or Avis, rather, I want to pick up on the point Anita just made, and that's the effect the pandemic is having on women in the workforce. Latest numbers show more than 800,000 have had to drop out since the pandemic. And again, there is a racial split in those numbers and how they're affected in terms of jobs. How did Trump and Biden differ in their messaging when it comes to getting women back into the labor force?
Trump has his head in the sand. I don't know. I feel like he stepped into a time machine. He must believe that we're in the 1950s. Whenever he talks about women and the workforce, he's not talking about it from the perspective of women themselves in the workforce. He's talking about their husbands getting back to work. And the reality is that we're not going to be able to fix this economy until we fix the coronavirus crisis. And as it relates to that, he has specifically waved the white flag. He's decided he's not going to do anything about it. And so all of the announcements that I've seen around the two sort of economic plans is that the Biden plan is expected to create many more jobs than the trajectory that we're on right now with the Trump catastrophe, because all this is going to do is continue to kill hundreds of thousands of more people and make it that much more likely that we'll have to suffer another shutdown in order to control this epidemic.
Anita, we're going to give the last question to you. As we've already pointed out on this panel, there are several female voting blocs that include suburban women, single women vote, working class women. There's also racial separations in those demographics. Who are Trump and Biden appealing to?
Boy, that's a great question. I think Vice President Biden, as he has throughout his career, he's tried to appeal to everyone. And, this is, a person who really is a genuine individual. And I think he's trying to appeal to people on both sides. It's not generally a characteristic of President Trump's. He doesn't come off that way, even though he says that he is appealing to people who want this country to be stronger, better, greater. But people have different views of what that means. And I think, it's anybody's prediction tonight. These massive rallies that Donald Trump has had, there is energy for him out there. I don't think we can dispute that. And, his silent voters, he doesn't like to call them silent, but those voters of 2016 may come out again in big numbers for him.
It definitely will be a race to continue watching it, as we keep hearing, not only throughout the evening, but also into the wee hours of the morning. Kayla, congrats on voting for your first time. And Anita and Avis, thanks for joining us again on Your Morning. Great to have you all here today.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.